Okay, hi guys. It's Mrs. Anglade. I'm back with part, what is this, 4? We're going to finish our castle right now. Where we left off was we have the wall stone on the gatehouse base left. The only thing that we do need to go in and do is go back to that texturing, and right here in image mapping, the thing that I was talking about is we're going to be doing several things with our image mapping. This dimension right now, you can kind of see that this stone is kind of large and it just doesn't look real natural. What we're going to do is we're going to escape out of this, and we're going to go back and we're going to change this repeat of X, we're going to change that to 2. And then watch what happens when I re-render that. See that the stone kind of came closer together and it looks more natural? And so that's how we kind of get away with that. And so we're going to be playing with those things, on a regular basis. So now what we're going to do is we are going to turn the gatehouse base left off. We're going to turn gatehouse base right on, and we're going to make that renderable. We're going to keep gatehouse base left renderable. You know what? Let's turn both of those on. That's fine that we do that. So I want to get a better view. I want to do this so that the camera can get both views of this. So Control-Alt-0. Let's move this over. I'm going to shift middle mouse button. I'm going to try moving this over if it wants to cooperate. There it goes. Control-Alt-0. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, so now when we render that, you can see that both of those, and this is because we duplicated, linked them together. So what we did to one, we did to the other. So that kind of, hurries the process up when we go to do this. And remember, we did change this to cube projection, so we weren't getting those streaks down the side of that. So that looks pretty good. Okay, so what we're going to get ready to do now is we are going to, let's go ahead and first save it. We are already at page 31. We'll have this complete in no time at all. Okay, so we last left off at 21, page 31. I was reading through some of just the information that I needed to know so that I can help you. Okay, so now we are going to, we are going to hide those, but we're going to keep them renderable because we want to just kind of see how they all look. Oh, it helps if okay, so we have nothing left. Let's go in and do the gatehouse. There's the gatehouse. We want to turn that on. We want to make it renderable. Let's go ahead and middle mouse button this around. Control-Alt-0. That's good enough. Okay, so this was the one that's kind of tricky, okay, because we're going to have different projections on different things. And so this is going to be the really important part. We're going to click on material now that this is selected. We're going to click on material, and we're going to need 5 channels of material. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add my 5 channels. So I'm going to hit this 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now see how I'm in the bottom channel? This is important because whatever material you have up in this top channel is going to be your default material, and it will apply it to everything. So if you want to apply material to different parts of your item, this is what you want to do first. You want to add, several different materials. So now we're going to, excuse me, we're going to click and we're going to call this gatehouse 1. Gatehouse 1. We are going to go to texture, and in that gatehouse 1 material, and it always comes down here for some reason, so I'm not sure why that does that. I'm going to add a new texture and call that, there it is, I was like, what happened to it? And call this gatehouse texture. Gatehouse 1 texture, sorry, gatehouse 1 texture. And then what we're going to do is remember I said we're going to do the same thing over and over, image or mapping. Now because we do have the wall stone into our little collection here, we can go to wall stone, and then we are going to, alright, so now what we're going to do is we are going to tab into edit mode. We're going to Z out of wireframe. We're also going to go into number pad 7. Now we're going to do with this texturing, we are going to go into, let's go back to the materials. We only want certain faces, okay? So we're going to go into face select mode. Notice how this has said assign, select, deselect when we went into edit mode. So it doesn't have it. I'm back into object mode. It doesn't have it when I go into here. It's because we can assign different texturing and materials to different faces, which is kind of cool. Okay, so we will assign the front and back faces of the gatehouse to the gatehouse 1 material. Box select the front and back. Okay, so I'm going to box select this one. I'm going to box select this one. And so what we're going to do is make sure gatehouse 1 material is selected. And then we are going to assign that material to the front and the back. We're going to deselect those sides. We're going to go to our texture button, and remember we can set that repeat. So since these are such long walls, if we were to render this right now, let's go ahead and render that. Do you see how the stone looks really big compared to the cornice blocks? So, or the bases. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that X repeat to 4 and the Y repeat to 2. And so the stone becomes smaller. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Do you see that? Okay, so now it kind of looks more natural. And so that's how we get around with that texturing. Okay, so now we're going to go back to, let's see, let's escape out of that. We're going to go back to our material, and so now we're going to go up to 1 above it, and we're going to hit new, and we're going to call this gatehouse 2. Gatehouse 2. We're going to go into the texture editor now. Texture. And we're going to call it gatehouse 2 texture. Somehow it always ends up down below. Gatehouse 2 texture. Gatehouse 2 texture. Okay, and so again we're going to go to image or movie. We're going to go down here to wallstone. Now we're going to check mark. It says check mark the flip XY. I don't see it. There it is. Gosh, I'm blind. Okay, we're going to do our X repeat to 2, and our Y repeat is at 1. And now we're going to do the cube. Instead of flat, we're going to do cube for the projection. We're going to go back to Materials Editor. Make sure we're choosing Gatehouse 2. We want to select the 2 outside faces and the 2 inside faces. Okay, so what we want to select, middle mouse button around, what we want is this one right here and the other side over here. So I'm holding down shift to select it. And then this one, that one, and this one. There we go. Okay, so make sure Gatehouse 2 is selected, and you guessed it, we're going to click Assign. Okay, and then let's render that and see what that looks like. Okay, not bad. Oh yeah, looks really good. Okay. Let's see. We're going to go back now to, we're going to escape out of that. We're going to go, and we can deselect those. We're going to go to our 3rd channel, and we're going to select new. We're going to call that Gatehouse 3. Gatehouse 3, and you guessed it, we're going to go to texture and go up, and we're going to click new, and we're going to call this Gatehouse 3 texture. Okay, let's see what the, okay, so yep, you guessed it, image or movie. We're going to go down here to wallstone. Let's see, we're going to do, this must be for the top, I bet. We are going to do, we're not flipping on the XY, we're doing our X repeat to 5, our Y repeat is 1. The mapping projection is cube. Okay, I guessed it. We're doing the top. Okay, so let's go back to Materials Editor, and we are going to now select, not that one, we're going to select the top. Oh, goodness, let me go into solid mode. There we go. I couldn't get it otherwise. All right, so Gatehouse 3, we're going to assign. Let's go ahead and deselect that, and let's see now what our rendering looks like. Well, that doesn't help me, does it? I gotta get a more renderable. Let's see, Control-Alt-0. Well, let me move that down. There we go. Control-Alt-0, that's better. Ah, that looks good too, doesn't it? Yep, looks good. Okay. Now we need to do this inside curved. I think that's the only part that we have left to do, and that's the one where we're going to have to just do a projection differently, and that's going to be a tube projection because it's curved, obviously. Okay, so now we're going to go back to this. Let's get out of our render. So let's go back to here. Let's click New, Gatehouse 4, Gatehouse 4, Texture. You guessed it. Okay, New, Gatehouse 4 Texture. Alright, Image, Movie, Wallstone. Okay, so now the X repeat is set to 5. The Y repeat is set to 1, but now our projection is going to be tube. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to here. Let's get out of here. Let's go to not 3, 1, and we want to choose the arched item. So we're going to choose that. Okay, and we're going to choose Gatehouse 4 and to assign. Alright, so let's render that and see what that looks like. Not too bad. I'm going to try to get a different view just so we can kind of see. There. Control-Alt-0. Oh, no, it didn't sit right. Control-Alt-0. I don't know, am I upside down? I can't really tell. Anyway. No, I'm definitely not upside down on that one. It keeps changing, doesn't it? Let's see. No, that's not working. That's the ground. Okay, I give up. I give up. There we go. Anyway, I assume it's correct. All right, so we're on page 45 now. We're almost finished. Save as page 45. Nothing like seeing a picture of your ground, huh? T45. Okay. Okay, so now what we're going to do is now we're going to work on the walls, and so we're going to hide the gatehouse object. Well, maybe I need to be in object mode. There we go. And then I am going to leave it renderable though, and I'm going to unhide the castle walls. So we're going to work on the castle walls next. And so what I'm going to do is select this. I'm going to, let's first add, it tells me to add 5 blank material channels. Remember, the reason that we do that is because the first one is always the default, and we're going to want to select, we're going to want to add things differently to each of these walls. So we are going to take this first one and add a new material. So we're going to call it wall 1. We're going to go in and make a new wall texture, new wall 1 texture, wall 1, image or movie. Okay, wallstone. Now this we're going to flip on the XY axis. We are going to set the X repeat to 2. We're going to set the Y repeat to 6. Come on. There we go. and we're going to do cube as the mapping. Okay. Then what we're going to do, let's go ahead and make that wall 2 texture so that we can, and now I'm going to choose this one. I'm going to choose new, and I want to call it wall 2. Okay. Let's go in and do that texture. New, wall 2 texture. Image or map, image or movie, wall stone. Alright, so now we're going to change, we're not going to flip on the XY, but we are going to change the X repeat to 6 and the Y repeat to 2. So it's just opposite of what we're, and then this is also going to be a cube projection. Alright, so what we want to do now is we want to set this up, so I'm going to scroll out a little bit, set this up so I can see this, Control-Alt-0 to set up my camera view. That's a good view. Okay, let's deselect those. Alright, so we want face select, so 0. We want both the inside and outside, so it's going to be these the front walls. I'm going to put it into solid mode just so I can see which one I'm choosing. So shift, I'm holding down shift. I want those walls, and then my middle mouse button, I want the backs of these walls as well. Okay, so what we've done is we've selected all those faces. Okay, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that wall 1 is selected. Oops. There we go. Wall 1 is selected, and that we are going to assign that particular wall to those. And now what we want to do is we want to select the other wall, so we want to deselect those. And so now we want to select those other walls. I'm going to middle mouse button around so I can see those. And I'm going to pick wall 2, and we want to assign that projection. Okay, so what do you think it looks like? Let's see, F12. Oh, nice job. Okay, so now the reason that we don't assign to these is because, remember, we're going to unhide our towers here in a minute, and that's going to be hidden by the tower. So we're not going to bother with that. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Okay, all right. So now we are on page 49. I'm going to just save this again real quick. Never know when you might need a backup file. It's always good to save. Rather to save than to lose your thing. Okay, so now we're going to do the catwalk. So let's turn off our castle walls. We're going to leave it renderable though. Let's make sure we're in object mode. We're out of render. There we go. Castle walls. Now we're turning on the catwalk. Catwalk. Turning it on. Renderable. Okay, so we need to choose that. There we go. It doesn't look like we need but just one new one, so we're going to call this catwalk. Catwalk. And then the texture is catwalk texture. Catwalk texture. And then we're going to set, let me do this, image or movie, wallstone. Okay, so the X repeat is going to be 4, the Y repeat is 1, the mapping projection is to cube, and our Y size to 0.3. So that's down here. That's the first time we've done this. So 0.3, just because we want the stones to be smaller. So remember, since we did not make a new channel, so this is going to be default to the whole entire thing. Okay, so now we don't have to assign it or anything. because we've only made one material. Does that make sense? And it's in the default. So now let's go ahead and see what that looks like when we render it. Okay, not bad. Yeah, see how the stone is nice and small? Okay, because we changed that size in the y-axis. Okay. All right, so now we're going to hide our catwalk back. Going to hide our catwalk back, and now we're going to do our tower. So remember, when we turn our tower on, remember we duplicated and linked all of these. So once we do the one tower, we'll do all the towers. Okay, so I believe we only want one tower material, so that's good. So we want to go, and so now we're going to do tower. Okay, and we need a tower texture. Okay, image, movie, wall stone. Okay, so this time the X repeat is 1, the Y repeat is 2, the mapping projection is cube again, and now the Y size is to 2.5. Okay, and so let's get, okay, and so let's render that and see what it looks like. Not bad, looks good. Okay, all right, so now we're going to turn on all of our towers. So let's see, we're not turning on cornice blocks yet. Let's just turn on all of our towers. Okay, and let's zoom out a little bit. Control-Alt-0. Let's shift this over a little bit. There we go. Control-Alt-0. There we go. Let's go ahead and render that. Looks good. Yeah. Remember I hit F12 to render. Let's go ahead and save it. We're on page 53. Okay, 53. Oops. Alright, so now we're on the cornice blocks for the tower. I'm going to go ahead and leave the towers there, I guess. I don't think there's any reason to move our tower. So let's turn our tower 1 cornice blocks on. Okay. I'm going to just hide tower 1 just for right now, just so I can find it really easily. There we go. Create 5 material channels. Okay, so this must be one of those. Okay, so we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're in the bottom one. We're going to click new. We're going to call it cornice 1. Cornice 1. Let's go ahead and call this cornice 2. Cornice 2. Okay, so let me scroll in here. There we go. Go to front view number pad 1. Okay, I'm going to hide these towers. They are kind of, there we go. I do see now why they hide certain items, because, you know, it does make it kind of hard. I'm going to go out of solid mode. We're going to box select the lower floor part of the cornice block objects as shown. Okay, so box select. It looks like they want us to box select those. Okay. So now they're having us do something else. So they're going to have us assign. So what they want us to do is they want us to assign this to cornice 1. Okay. And then they want us to take and, whoops, box select these, the top ones, and they want us to say cornice to assign without actually making the textures. Now we're actually going to go in and make the textures for the, which is kind of interesting. You can do it in any order, I guess. Okay, so I'm on texture 1, and they're going to give me the information for it. So tower 1 cornice texture. Okay, so X, oh, I spelled texture wrong, oh well. Image or movie, wallstone, X to 1, Y to 2, projection to cube, Y to 2.5. Okay, so now I want to go back to cornice 2, texture, cornice tower 2 texture. I'm just trying to hurry now because I don't like when the movie goes over 30 minutes. Let's see. Wallstone. Okay. And so now they want X to be 3 here. X repeat to be 3. Y repeat to be 3. Mapping projection to be cube, X size to be 0.75, oops, and then the Y to be 0.1. Alright, so let me see what F12 looks like on that. Oh, I can't really see. Oh, scrolling in. Okay, so, I really want to see what that looks like. So, let me go in and set my camera. Hold on. Deselect that. Control Alt 0. Oops. Control Alt 0. There we go. F12. Okay. Not bad. Looks good. Alright. So now if I unhide my tower 2, make all of these renderable, and I render it again, I escape out. Let's go ahead. Oh, there they are. I was like, where's my other cornice block? Okay, so Control Alt 0. I'm going to move that up a little bit. There we go. Control Alt 0. There we go. Should be. That should be good. Alright. Not bad. I'm going to work on, here's what I'm going to work on. I think I assigned the wrong channel to this one, and I'm going to go work and see if I can't get this one to be better, because do you see that projection is not very good. So I'm going to pause it and see if I did something wrong. I'll be right back. Alright guys, what I did is, because it just didn't look right, I went in and back on the Gatehouse 1 material, I changed I think the Y repeat was set to 2. I changed it back to 1 because then it looks a little bit more natural. It's completely up to you, but I just didn't like how that originally looked. Alright, so the last thing we have left to do, and then we are finished, is to unhide the cornice blocks. Let's see. Let's escape out of that. So let's unhide all these and cornice blocks on the gatehouse cornice blocks. There we go. And the cornice blocks. We haven't done the cornice blocks yet, have we? Yeah. Alright, so yeah, so I'm going to choose actually. Okay, so while I had it paused, I did a little bit of setting things up here so that you didn't have to hear me do it all. Okay, so I chose cornice blocks over here. I made it a material. I made a texture. Here's what you needed to know about that texture. Of course, I did wallstone. So I repeated the X to be 3, the Y to be 3, and the projection was cube. The X size was 0.75, the Y was 0.1. So what I've also done now is I have done the cornice blocks for the catwalk. What I've done is I have made 2 materials. So you hit that plus 5 times, and so I have block 1 and block 2. block 1, the texture information is as follows. Whoops. The X repeat is 3, the Y repeat is 3, the X size is 2, and the Y size is 2 with a cube projection. And the second material is, of course, wallstone. And I'm sorry, the X repeat is 10, the Y repeat is 10 with a cube projection, and the sizes are the same. So now we are getting ready to, since we only had one material in the cornice blocks in the gatehouse, we're good with that. So what I need to do is I need to tab into these cornice blocks, and I needed to go into one, and what we're going to do is we're just going to box select the top. It says to box select just this bottom set of vertices right there. Yeah, just like that. And we're going to make sure we are in material number 1, and we are going to hit assign. Then we're going to deselect. Then we're going to box select the top of those just like that. We are going to make sure blocks 2 is selected, and we're going to assign. And now the moment of truth. We are going to render and see what it all looks like. Looks pretty good, although it doesn't look like, you know what I think I forgot? Nope, I was in wireframe mode. Oh, there were some oh no, I was gonna say there were some faces that look like they weren't chosen. Let me assign those again, because maybe I'm imagining things, but it looked like some of those Control-Alt-0. Yeah, there we go. Huh. Let me check the projection on that. Cube, I don't know why it's not. Alright, y'all, I had paused it because the cornice blocks didn't look quite right, but I couldn't quite figure it out. I did decide, the more I looked at it up close, I did decide to change that repeat a little bit. I left the X repeat to be 1 and the Y repeat to be 10, and it doesn't look like it helped it much from afar, but to me it helped it. So anyway, so this is my finished castle. The last thing that we need to do is we are in render mode right now, so this is what it looks like. The last thing I need for you to do is go into image and save as image, and it's going to save it as a PNG. We're going to title it castle, and then of course your last name underscore, whoops, castle, I can't see because of my cursor. There we go. Castle underscore, of course your last name, and then we would save it. And you're going to submit that on Google Classroom along with your Blender file, and that's it. Your PNG file that you just made right here, and then your Blender file. And we are finished. Nice job, y'all. See you later.